Colts dudes just rushed three. Looked like they had a spy on Miller, and it leads to the bomb. 43-yard house call. Quentin Frakehouse loose in the secondary. Warriors going nuts here. Welcome into the Friday Night Pigskin, presented exclusively by Knox Community Hospital. I am Brian Skronsky. You heard me on the call there over at the Colt Corral. We're going to have a lot more on Ontario's big victory there to stay undefeated on the season. Plus, we've got tons of game action coming up here on the show. 7 total live streams for the OH.Report tonight all at once. That is a record for us, so we've got plenty to come here on the show. But we will begin over at Crestview tonight, taking on the Lucas Cubs. Cougars trying to shake off a couple of losses in a row. We'll show you how that thing played out with Lucas trying to get back into the driver's seat in Division 7, Region 25. And Logan Toms looking more like Brooks and Dunn as he's hitting the boot, scoot, and boogie all the way to the end zone here to kick things off. Next up, though, Aiden Raymer looking more like his brother Addison as he hits the turbo boosters. 32 yards, no Cubs in sight, 7-6 Crestview trails. Later on, Logan Toms must have thought this week's football game was a track meet as he's going to enter hyperdrive zoom, and go 88 yards, leaving Cougars in his wake to take advantage. 13-6 on the scoreboard. Lucas goes in front on the road. Fast forward now, and this is when the Cubs start piling it on in the second half. Toms hitting the edge, and no one in between him and the end zone. Another touchdown for Lucas as they extend their advantage. And then later on, to put a bow on this thing, Dan Hawkinsmith going to do his best Houdini impression, because now you see him. Now you don't. He disappears for a second before reappearing to put away the Cougars 26-6. 3 straight wins now for the Lucas Cubs. And their head coach, Scott Spitler, is joining us right now on the hotline. So, Coach, first off, how are you taking in this victorious Friday night? Well, what you up to right now?
Oh, just chilling here with the family.
Tight game for you guys tonight at the break, and then you kind of blew things open in the second half. What did you guys do well that you were able to hit the accelerator and pull away from Crestview with their place?
Well, I thought in the first half, we come out, we got a defensive turnover, we set up good field position, we went down and scored, and I thought we took a deep breath and kind of let the foot off the accelerator a little bit, and it about cost us there. We went into halftime 7-6, come out to start the second half, and Logan Toms takes the first offensive play for 80-some yards and a touchdown, and our kids kind of just controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball the rest of the night.
Logan Toms, what a special run for him during your guys' 3-game win streak. 3 more tutties for him tonight. He had a few last week, few more before that. How special is this kid and kind of the zone that he's starting to find on Friday nights right now?
Well, he's just another one that's kind of taken the torch in our kind of stable of running backs we've been so blessed to have over the years. But when you see him work during the week, you'd understand why he has the success on Friday nights. But I think what we've been able to do in these last 3 games is we've become more consistent in our level of play up front, especially instead of shooting ourselves in the foot. First 2 weeks of the season, I think we used all the bullets, so to speak.
What do you think you learned, though, from those first couple of weeks? Double overtime loss at Clear Fork, another kind of heartbreaking loss, Hillsdale scoring late. What did you take away from those that you feel like you've built on and you've gotten better because of it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is understanding that no matter how much experience you got coming back or what you have athlete-wise, is your preparation during the week is how you're going to perform on Friday night. And I thought after the first 2 weeks, losing those 2 close ones to some good football teams, our kids got a wake-up call, and now their preparation matches their performance on Friday night.
Talk a little bit about just being an independent and taking on all comers from everywhere. We've seen you take on like Division II schools in the past. You took on a couple of D4s this year. What is it like just kind of like scheduling and going all over the place, playing anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere?
Well, the most important thing is getting football games scheduled for our kids. It's a nightmare scheduling-wise.
Probably.
I just found out today 2 teams that we had scheduled for next year have joined a league, and so now they got to drop us for next year. So I have 3 games on the schedule for next year. I got to find 7 games. So it's a nightmare for myself and our athletic director, Taylor Eisman. But the reason we play up so much is we want to get our games scheduled for our kids. Our kids deserve to play.
Well, got another tough one coming up against a 4-1 Monroeville team, Coach. So you mentioned that it's a nightmare with scheduling. Have some sweet dreams tonight. Enjoy this victory. 3 straight dubs for the Cubs. It's been a pleasure watching you guys kind of grow throughout the course of this season, man. Continued success to you, Scott.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Our pleasure. Scott Spitler of the victorious Lucas Cubs, now winners of 3 straight, and the best 3-win team in Division 7 now, Travis?
Best 3-2 win team in Division 7 football, baby, and they keep rolling, and when they win next week, they're going to be the best 4-2 team in Division 7.
I don't doubt it. All right, let's keep the good times rolling now with a huge game that went down in the MOAC tonight. Galion was undefeated. They were on the road at Shelby, trying to stay that way, and Gabe Ivy gave them an early lead. It was 6-0 very early on in the first quarter, but Braden DeVito, 10-yard pass here to Casey Lance, got a little tiptoe in there, would pull them within a point. Galion's Prosser now a 49-yard touchdown pass to Chambers. This makes it 13-10 Galion in the first minute of the second quarter, but Shelby's Winters, the first of his 5 touchdowns. He had a monster night, made it 17-13. Here he is again. Winters is coming. His second score of the night. It was 24-13, but Prosser to Campbell here on the 20-yard screen pass closes the distance. It's 24-20. Gabe Ivy getting in on the act in the fourth quarter, but just too much Winters on this night as he was snowing all over him. Huge win for Shelby as they put up a 60-burger, 62-26, and this was actually a pretty close game going into the second half. But Skylar Winters, man, what a breakout performance for him. He's been getting some action each of the last 3 years, and tonight he proved why he can be a featured back. So with him and Braden DeVito, man, what an unbelievable 1-2 punch. And for the Tigers, just their first loss now of the campaign. They're going to have to bounce back against Ontario, who is at Clear Fork tonight. The Colts have really been struggling. Warriors have been rocking and a-rolling, and, well, they kept the good times rolling tonight on the road inside of the corral. From the very first touch of the game, it's Chase Studer rather, and here he goes off the edge. Nobody's going to catch him. You see the pancakes piling up on the perimeter, put a little syrup on it as he scampers in, throws a Colt down to the ground, and they're on the board basically less than 12 seconds into the game. and they would not stop there. This is still the opening quarter. Mason Van Tilburg, just a little screenplay, makes not one, not two, but 3, 4, 5, 6. Colts look silly. That's going to be my top play nominee. Unbelievable 20-yard scamper into the end zone there. Studer now, again, they ran that stretch play to perfection tonight. Chase was unbelievable. He finds a crease. He gets in from 5 yards out, and this was the call of the night. Bodpen Miller, this dude was our MVP. He put the ball on the money over and over again. That a 43-yarder to Quentin Frankhouse, and then Nate Spencer, a little cherry on top of a huge win for Ontario tonight. 45-0. They beat down Clear Fork, and the Colts never even crossed midfield in this game. The JVs for Ontario played the bulk majority of that third and fourth quarter. So I had read some newspaper clippings. We've been having some highlights on the Pigskin of the Warriors until you see them with your own eyes. And granted, Clear Fork, they got a couple of guys down. They lose their All-Ohioan and Luke Schlosser, but they were unbelievably dominant tonight. Both sides of the football, they got the skill guys, they got the dudes in the trenches too. And what I like most, talking to Bodpen after the game, he gave most of the credit to the coaching staff and what they've been able to do. Transitioning from Chris Miller, now that we're in the Aaron Ecker era for the last couple of seasons, those two, they've worked really well with one another. They've been putting together some solid game plans. I think the Warriors are for real. They're 5-0, and they get to compete with the Tigers of Galion next week. That's a huge one in the MOAC, who, in my opinion, that's the best league in the area. When you start looking at the top, Clear Fork's out of it. Probably Marion Harding's not going to be sniffing around in there. But then you start looking at the Pleasants and the Shelbys and the Galion Tigers, and then certainly Ontario tonight, loaded in the MOAC. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, guys, we're going to dive into some Northern 10. We also got some WCAL action when we take a trip over into the Pig Pen. Stay with us.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
It's time to dive into some Northern 10 action. Mohawk was at home tonight looking to go to 2-0 in league play, but the Winford Royals, they've been sneaky, kind of under the radar, very competitive, just not a great record so far, and they look good tonight. As mentioned, out in the beautiful Sycamore Valley, it was Winford, though, getting off to a nice start with Caden Blair. Big hole right up the middle, and he skirches through 37-yard touchdown. It is 7-zip in favor of the Royals. But check this out. It's a tip drill. No way. Yes way. Kane Heyman, 33 yards, 7-7. We're all square. Then later on, Jake Stover, 21 yards into the zone, would make it 14-7. We fast forward now to the third, where Chandler Eckert, he's going to find some space down the sideline, and he gets ghost on a 30-yard run to start extending the lead. It was 35-7 in favor of Winford. And now Ashton Warren, oh, very sneaky. Everyone kind of bit on the fake, and Ashton takes it in 41-14. He had a great night, too. 149 yards, a couple of touchdowns for him through the sky, and then 5 carries, 32 yards in that rushing score. So I got to see Winford in person opening night against Galion. Like I said, I feel like this team, there's some tough kids. They've got some great athletes. Ashton Warren, he's a very versatile dude. He can throw it. He can run it. So look for the Royals, I think, in the second half over these 5 weeks. I think they could maybe not get into the Northern 10 conversation, but definitely start moving their way up the ladder. 2 guys that probably should never go up any ladders because they're just too big. Hanging out with us over here, we got G-Man and Storm over in the pig pen, having a good time. Tell us about the WCAL stuff that you saw tonight.
Well, it was really good for one team, and it was really bad for another team. I think that's fair to say. But I'm not going to waste any time. It was Chippewa. It was Hillsdale. Let's get right into it. Starting things off would be Fickus. The option pitch outside to Jarvis. They would miss the 2-point conversion, making it 6-0 Falcons.
Jack Fickus from this time would do it all by himself from 10 yards out. A scamper into the end zone to the left side. They would miss the PAT again. It's still 12-0.
Chippewa now on offense. Sending the heat would be Hillsdale. That blitz would eventually cause the pick 6 from Gavin Kastrov. The Falcons starting to pile it on.
Possible top play candidate right there, Storm. But let's move on. As Fickus is going to show off his arm, Storm. He can do it both. He's a dual threat QB, dropping it right in the bucket to McFadden. Fly, Falcons, fly. It's 26-0 Storm.
Next up, Deja Vu. Fickus through the air, hits McFadden for another touchdown, this time 5 yards out.
And after this, Storm, the JV team would be in, and Mikey Schoenberger III, the freshman, would punch this puppy
Just
in
a freshman
for a 6-yard touchdown. And the Falcon Storm would get their first conference win of the year, 40-0 over Chippewa.
Good for them. I mean, I love doing that dance right now. Good for them, though. I mean, it was a little bit of a tough game last week in conference play for Hillsdale. They were able to bounce back, get a dominant win. I mean, how does that feel, as a player, Garrett? Let's step into the, back into the Jersey days. How does it feel as a player to kind of go out, get boat raced, and then be the one dominating?
Yeah, Storm, they got dominated last week on the road against Norway, and a team that's very tough. They lost 49-14. They couldn't get the offense going, and Hillsdale's offense so far this season has been rolling. Jack Fickus, Owen Sloan, Braylon Jarvis. We just saw McFadden have a couple of touchdown catches as well. So they got multiple guys on the offense for Hillsdale, a lot of playmakers on the outside, and then, of course, the offensive and defensive lines are huge pivotal pieces of that team as well. It's great to come back and get a conference win, especially at home. You got to defend home turf, and they were expected to win this game, and it's still hard to go out and do that, and they did that tonight.
Now for Chippewa, it's been a rough start to the season for them, no doubt about that. They're 1-3. Their only win coming via disqualification. Where do they go from here? We saw Euler with a great passing game when the offensive line could hold up. That was one stingy Hillsdale pass rush defense. It was difficult for them to get any offense going. Where do they go from here?
Well, I think you mentioned, Storm, when Euler had time, he was able to pick apart some of that Hillsdale defense. And that wasn't very often because the pass rush was getting back there and the defensive coordinator at Hillsdale was sending some blitzes that kind of confused them. But when Euler had time back there, the QB for the Chips, he was able to get it done and kind of pick apart that defense. I think you just got to take it one day at a time, and you want to play with a sense of pride. And at this point in the season, you're not winning a lot. You only win because of the forfeit. You just want to play with a sense of pride and kind of just go out there and just got to get it done.
And Garrett, last but not least, of course I got to talk about the Falcon 5, the 5 signature sandwiches for the 5 home games for Hillsdale. Tonight was the meatball sub. It was phenomenal. I can't wait to be back at Hillsdale to get maybe another sandwich. You had it yourself. It was an 8 out of 10 at least.
What was it called, the Falconator?
It was called the Falconator this week. We
It's a
missed
meatball sub.
we missed the pulled pork and mac and cheese.
And
We
the
were there for the
cheeseburger.
cheeseburger. Now it's the Falconator. So
The meatball sub was phenomenal.
It got-
Shout out to Hillsdale for
it
the
got
hospitality. It was amazing.
Hand delivered to us, hot, delicious. It was awesome. So big shout out to the Hillsdale concession stands. But I think that's going to do it over here for the Cutie Corner. We're going to send it over back to Brian, who I'm sure has something to say about the meatball sub.
I feel like you guys really missed out not getting in on the brisket and the mac and cheese, but the meatball sub, that's definitely a solid backup option, no question. Well, guys, it's time for, I think, everybody's most anticipated part of the program. We give you some options. You decide who the best of the best was. So we're going to roll back the clocks to week 4 of the high school football season, our Friday night phenoms. And we're going to show you who the winner was from week number 4. Drum roll, please. And it was Evan Benfer. Ha ha, how about what this junior quarterback was able to do? Didn't need a ton of carries to get his yardage, and he burned up a bunch of yards over there at Scott Bailey Memorial Field. A big win on the road. Eagles had not beaten their rivals Crestview in a while, and all he did was roll up 205 on the ground. He got into the end zone a quartet of times, and look at these cutbacks. I mean, the turf over there is nice. It's one of the best stadiums that we have in all of North Central Ohio, but he made it look even better with runs like that. Congratulations to Evan for being our phenom. And also, the top plays of the week, I thought that we had some really good contenders going in this week, but only one could come away as our champion. And the top play is going to go to this awesome play action touchdown fake, Lincoln Tyrell, taking the Braxton Prosser pass, and he's going to get ghostly with it, 76 yards into the end zone on the 3rd down play. One more look at it. Check this out. Hitting it in the whirly bird, and just like the teacups going off the rails at the carnival, he coasts in for a huge touchdown. Congratulations to Lincoln for being our top play from week number 4. We're going to take one more commercial break, guys, and when we come back, it is all K-Maction from here on out. We've got highlights and analysis from 3 of the 4 K-Mac games. Stick around.
At Knox Community Hospital, your primary care physician is more than someone who delivers your test results, more than someone who writes prescriptions, more than someone who listens to your heart. We are your healthcare partner who takes the time to know you, listen to your concerns, and provide you with expert personalized care to make and keep you well. Because to us, you're more than just numbers on a chart. You're a neighbor and a friend. Knox Community Hospital, in the community, for the community.
Here on the Friday Night Pigskin, even though it's technically Saturday, and we do appreciate you guys staying up late with us, and you'll be real happy that you did, because the top 2 contenders in the KMAC went head-to-head tonight, and our very own Travis Berardi was down there in Blue Devil country for Danville's game against Northmor. Pretty good contest, but I think one team kind of proved that they're the cream of the crop.
They're above the cream of the crop. This team impressed me for a second straight weekend against a very good opponent, and I'll just show you how it goes. Let's go to the highlights. After both teams exchanged turnovers, though, the Golden Knights strike. A.J. Bauer finds Jax Wenger down the seam to make it 7-0, but back comes Danville. Running half the quarter off the clock, Calder plows his way through. We're tied at 7. Ensuing kickoff, and Walker Weckesser is honing in his inner Pat McAfee. He recovers his own onside kick, and it's later going to lead to Weckesser. Change the quarter, 3rd down and long, and Nate Stevens, his receiver, finds himself wide open behind the secondary. That's a 42-yard bomb. It's 14-7, 20-7 Danville at the break. Second half, and after a Danville 3-and-out, Northmor back in it, 4th and goal from the 10. A.J. Bauer, it's going to be a pick. Wait, no! Through the wickets to Wenger. Golden Knights to within 6.
He said
Start
Wenger.
of the 4th, Weckesser maneuvers himself to pay dirt to make it 26-14. Both teams then exchange touchdowns the rest of the way. Danville pulls it off 32-21. They're unbeaten at 5-0, and Brian, I really believe they have a very clean path to 10-0, a KMAC championship, and then that could lead to a very good run in the playoffs, because this team continues to just run over teams. They wear you down with their big line. Very impressive win by Danville, and with Calder, who had 163 yards on 29 carries and 2 scores. Weckesser, 9 of 18 passing for 112. He had 9 carries for 50 yards and 2 scores. This team, I said it in the broadcast, they were really good last year. You and I saw with our own eyes during that playoff run.
Should have been in the state Final Four.
Should have made a state championship game, actually, the way JFK won. This team, I think they're a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the addition of Calder changes everything for them, because that was East Knox dog for the last 3 seasons. He was getting playing time at the varsity level as a freshman. That doesn't happen very often, even at the Division 7 level.
Nope.
So Danville, the fact that they got the big horses up front, now you add a piece like that, Weckesser shifts into a new position now. I really like everything about what Danville's got going on. And then defensively, let's not shortchange them too, because I think the Golden Knights, they got plenty of weapons out there, and they were able to hold them in check. Probably should have had that interception in the end zone too. So this is the top dog in the KMAC.
Well, and with Northmor as well, I think they are the clear-cut number 2. I think both of these teams have a clear path to finish out the season the rest of the way, last 5-0 or something like that. But I think Northmor could finish easily 8-2. I think Danville can easily finish 10-0. Northmor has a very good front 3 on the defensive line, but Danville's smart enough, they just kept running away from them. They run it up the middle a little bit with DeLauder, let him plow through, but they would run away. They'd wear down that defensive line, and it worked perfectly. A couple of teams in their region as well. You got Hillsdale still. You got Lucas that had a big win tonight. You had Dalton. JFK, they had a lot of, their coach left, they had a lot of players leave, so JFK, I don't think they're even in this mix. So it's down to about, I think, 4 teams. I think you have Dalton, I think you have Danville, Hillsdale, Lucas, and I think this could be Danville's to win. They are very good.
Well, I just received word that the East Knox staff was watching this game tonight, live and free down there over at Chet Looney Stadium, keeping an eye on it for that impending Week 10 matchup, the Devil Dog. And speaking of the Bulldogs down at Chet Looney Stadium, they went toe-to-toe tonight with Cardington, who's really been struggling, and the Dogs, they would bark. Let's start here with Blake Elliott. This dude's been on our Phenom list, I think more than once, and he is a two-side of the ball monster. Yep, plug the air horns. 7-zip there. Later in the first, same exact scenario, 5-yard touchdown run to make it 13-0. And a little bit later on, they're going to get the passing game going. And I think this is really where East Knox can be dynamic. This is Lester going deep. Wingard on the back end beats the coverage. 45-yard tutty. It's 20-0 in favor of the Dogs. And then how about this toss? Just a little bit behind Brayson Davis, but he's an athlete. He reaches back, tugs it in for the touchdown. The route is on. It was 26-0. And how about Briar Householder with the touchdown, the snatch, grab, and go too. He got his snacks, and he's going over to his friend's house. Good night, folks. The Bulldogs are romping. Elliott's going to get in one more time to make it 32-0 as East Knox runs over Cardington tonight. And I don't think this was any surprise, Travis. The Bulldogs, last year, they were kind of close. I heard Coach Beatty call into a radio show tonight, and he felt like they were on the cusp of getting some wins last year. This year, they're starting to put it together, and they're beating the teams that they should be, playing at home in that environment against Cardington. No match. That's why they had the running clock win.
First thing before I go into this breakdown, you missed the chance for a Householder house call.
Oh, no.
But there are 2 unbeatens left in the KMAC, Danville and East Knox.
Okay.
East Knox starting to get it together. That Week 10 game, I said that Danville has that clear path to possibly 10-0. But Week 10, they got East Knox standing in the way. They got an East Knox squad that lost their best running back at the time before this season to Danville. Rivalry, it's at Danville. You never know. But East Knox, hey, great win for them. They're starting to get those playoff points together, and they're starting to get it all together, like you said.
And we got one more KMAC highlight coming up for you guys. We're going to take you down to the heart of Ohio. But before we do, we're going to bring in Jonathan Langdon hanging out. Let's get a look at him. Where are you at, Jonathan? What are you up to? I know you're a college kid. It's a Friday night. Are you keeping it low-key tonight, or are you kind of like in the back room in a closet at a party, just like, guys, I got to jump on OH.Report real quick?
Well, yeah, I've actually got my people downstairs. They're watching me right now, and I'm up here in my room all by myself. Getting ready to break down the Centerburg game.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, shout out to your people downstairs. We'll make sure that it's a house party there here in not too long, Jonathan. But go ahead and run those clips for me, Adam, and just tell me about kind of how things went tonight out in the Berg.
From Mason Tursky, and he takes advantage, takes it all the way to the house, had Matt Sprang in a spin cycle right there to make it 7-0 in the first quarter. It was a big first quarter for Centerburg, and you see a rushing touchdown from Jesse Rings. Talk about a guy that really needed a big game, and he got it today. Here's a passing touchdown right over to Tursky. They each get their second touchdown of the game there. But things start to take a turn in the second quarter. Safety there gives Loudonville some life. And that they're going to turn around. And the very next possession, rushing touchdown here, senior Cam Beachy gets in basically untouched. We go into the half 21-8, and now we're going to see Baylor Weiser get open on a flag route, and he goes all the way. Let's just speed that up there and get the touchdown. And that makes it 21-15. It's a one-score game. Centerburg, they need to respond, and they do so big time getting into the end zone. Mason Tursky, Jesse Rings connection is real. They had 3 touchdowns each on the game, and let's just throw in a pick for Jesse Rings as well. That's not his first pick of the game, not a second. He had 3 interceptions defensively in this game. Talk about a Friday night phenom for sure.
Well, so who was even your MVP of this game tonight that you talked to? Tursky with 3 touchdowns. I know Rings was tossing them.
I wanted to get both of them. I wanted to get Rings and Tursky, but we ended up going with Jesse. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions defensively. Final score of that game, of course, 37-15, but keep an eye out for Friday Night Phenoms next week. Jesse Rings is going to be on there.
And you know Centerburg, the Trojans, they find their way into our comment section all the time. So, Centerburg, they lose Kalen Lemaster after a big Week 1 win, and Centerburg kind of tails off. It seems like they're starting to find something in the passing game tonight, Jonathan, but also defensively. So, what did you like most about what you saw from the Trojans overall tonight in this win?
Well, it was just overall, offensively, defensively, the special teams, everyone got involved in this game, and it was mainly the duo of Rings and Tursky. You've got Lemaster and Trevin Harris, who were both out for this game, and that really allowed both of those guys to shine, and they were really just the tandem that put Centerburg over the edge against Loudonville. Loudonville, they played very well in this game. First quarter was just a little bit too lopsided for them to really get back into that game. But Centerburg really piecing things together. That was a team that just gave up 35 points to East Knox last week, and then here they are shutting down Loudonville this week.
Yeah, impressive win tonight for Centerburg, and I think specifically getting those turnovers very helpful, especially at home. What was the atmosphere like in the heart of Ohio tonight?
Oh, big time. We could hear the entire crowd, especially in that third quarter when things started to go Loudonville's way. Centerburg, the fans really pulled for the Trojans, and that touchdown pass that from Rings to Tursky, 25 yards out, that was the game changer. And in the fourth quarter, Loudonville couldn't make it up because the crowd was really in it, Brian.
And speaking of hearing things, I think down in your basement I'm hearing some bottles popping. You're missing out on some great excitement, Jonathan. Go be a college kid. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, buddy.
Appreciate it. I'm heading downstairs right now.
All right, thank you so much. Jonathan Langdon down there at Mount Vernon Nazarene. Been doing an awesome job for us. Caught on with us during winter sports last year. Now doing football for the first time. Big kudos to the MVNU crew. They do an awesome job here on the OH Report. Love having them out here. Oh, and our girl Madeline, of course, too. Suzuto doing her director debut tonight on the Lucas Crestview game, and way too hard on herself. So if you watch the game, she probably did a phenomenal job, guaranteed. All right, Trav, are we doing best of the rest, or are we going right into standings tonight? What do you want to do? How you want to wrap things up?
We're going to go a bit of the best of the rest. I'm going to give you a six-pack, and it's going to be a little mixed as we begin Brawl Day. 7:30 tonight, ABC,
Woo!
Baby. We beat
Brawl
Pitt.
week!
We beat Pitt. Anyway, let's start off with some statistics that you're probably expecting. Dane Nauman, the Dane train. Nom, 25 rushes, 191, 3 touchdowns in their win over Marion Harding. I want to apologize to Galion.
Sorry, guys.
You had me down there to drink the pickle juice. It was a fun time with you guys.
Oh.
I said I hope I don't jinx you. I really hope I don't jinx you the rest of the way. I do appreciate you having me. Another team that's got the juice, the TY Tigers. 35-14 over New Philadelphia.
Okay.
Amar the Star, 5 catches, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There's me drinking that pickle juice. There was a couple guys gagging. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, pickle juice is great, man. I love it. The Tigers. I mean, look.
I was rejuvenated too for the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh.
Right there. No, but I do. Galion, they got. It's a fun thing they have going on. They were pumped to have me. The newspaper was there too for them. So I think Galion's going to bounce back. They're going to have a good season.
Ooh, you like them against the Warriors next week? Are you going out on a limb?
I don't know, but I'll say this: Galion will make a playoffs, and they have a chance of hosting.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Anyway, to the other Tigers, 35-14. When we see the rankings, they beat the top 2 contenders in the league. So I think the TY Tigers, they got a good path to an OCC championship. And now, because I got to do it, it's week 5, playoffs.
What?
Playoff rankings real quick. Ontario, you mentioned them right now, 4th in the D3 region. 10 Mansfield Senior tied for 8th, so they could host a playoff game. Lexington knocked off Worcester tonight.
Saw that big
win. That puts them the 14th. Ashland with a win over Mount Vernon puts them 13th. D4 Region 14. I'm getting over myself. Shelby's big win over Galion puts them at number 2. Galion, they're still in 6th despite the loss. Those playoff points, bonus points that they had, they're in 6th. Upper Sandusky right now holding at 16th. Clear Fork down there at 18th. 623. The Northmor Golden Knights with their loss, they still in it in 12th. East Knox with their win, they're in 10th right now. Mount Gilead and Loudonville also 14th and 17th, so all of our KMAX squads still have a chance. And finally, in D7, Region 25, Danville, one of only 2 unbeatens left. Steubenville Catholic Central sits at 4-0. They play tomorrow night. Danville, number 2 in the region right now. Hillsdale, number 4. Doughton, number 6. And the Lucas Cubs, they're sitting at number 8. They keep moving on up.
That's
they're back
right,
up
baby.
to a home playoff game. And I talked about JFK, they're 18th.
Yeah,
so
they lost their
tough.
Quarterback, like you said, the coach. A little bit different Eagles team.
In Monroeville. Can't stop Monroeville. They're number 7. That matchup with Lucas, bonus points on the line for next week. But now, let's take a look at the standings for each conference, Brian.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start. Adam, pick one for us.
Oh, throw it out.
The OCC. There's the TY Tigers.
OCC.
Yeah, Worcester, that big win for Lexington, drops Worcester to 1-2. Worcester also had a loss to New Philadelphia. West Holmes, they were in a dogfight with Madison for a while until pulling away late. Mansfield Senior has to win over that. So it's Lexington, Mansfield Senior. That Richland County rivalry will probably determine the OCC champion. There is the rest of the squads as well. Mount Vernon in their final year in the OCC, 1-4, 0-2.
All right, let's go to another surprise conference. What else we got?
Moving on. The KMAC.
KMAC Trav.
And I mentioned it. 2-0. East Knox and Danville. The Bulldogs, they're starting to right the ship. Northmor, 1-1. They still got to play East Knox, 3-2. But I think Northmor and Danville, personally, no offense to East Knox fans, but I think Danville and Northmor are going to finish 1-2. East Knox be fighting right there for that 3rd spot, along with a Centerburg, a Fredericktown, and a Loudonville.
Bulldogs fans say boo.
Mount Gilead and Cardington, 0-2. I still love my Bulldogs. I got the cowbell back here and everything like that. So there are your KMAC standings after week 5.
And shout out Mason Kidwell, had to work tonight. It pained him that he could not be at a game.
I know.
Glad that we had 3 live and free.
Shout out, though.
Who else
Moving on. The Firelands Conference, Western Reserve rolled Mapleton tonight for a big win. Monroeville as well with a big win over South Central, so they both still stand at 2-0. St. Paul plays tomorrow against Plymouth, so they still stand at 1-0, but seems like St. Paul might be getting some things together. They rolled Mapleton last week. They're still a, I don't know, team this year. Crestview, the Cougars. Actually, they're 0-1. They're 0-2. That's my fault. Mistake on my end. They're 0-2, but 1-4. Although they'd probably like to be just 0-1 right now. Tough season so far for the Cougars. They're young. They'll bounce back, Ski.
Probably not this season, though.
That's what I mean. They'll bounce after this year.
Next. How about the Northern 10, Travis? What an interesting game coming up next week. I've been getting some text messages. I've been getting some emails. I saw somebody blow us up on the Facebook. We're going to be at Cary next week in some capacity. You better believe it. That's going to determine the Northern 10. Got to be the top 2 teams again.
And Crawford's the top team in their region as well. I didn't mention it in the best of the rest, but they're top of their region, 5-0, 2-0. Cary, baby, though. They creeping there. They creeping around. Seneca East, Upper Sandusky, Winford, Mohawk right behind. I still think Upper Sandusky can get some wins together. They just have too good of an offense, right?
Yeah, they got Holman who slings it around, and I like a couple of their receivers. They got dudes near the top of the league leaders in a few different statistical categories. But the best league in the area got to be the MOAC, Travis. This one excites me a lot because I really like what we're going to get down the stretch here. I know that Pleasant got knocked off tonight, but Highland, Galion, Shelby, and Ontario, those are all dangerous teams. I can't really get a grip on who might be the best there.
Pleasant last week knocks off Highland. River Valley goes in and knocks them off, putting up 60 points.
Crazy.
Shelby, they put up 60 points. Ontario's putting up 40 points. Points galore in the MOAC. That's what offense pays the bills, and they paying the bills here in the MOAC. Ontario, they're riding high with Bogpin Miller just breaking record after breaking records. Shelby, they got a quarterback in DeVito that can break records. Galion, they got the juice still. They still got the pickle juice. And then you got Nauman with Highland. Anybody from 1st to 3rd can win this conference.
Oh, you're not
the bottom of the 3rd.
No, I'm with you. No, for sure. Yeah, I think outside of Harding and Clear Fork, River Valley, maybe not.
I saw them in the 7-on-7 against Ontario. They have an offense. They can score some points when they want to. They just got to get it together, and I think they started doing that against Pleasant tonight.
Yeah, but they're allowing about 35 points per game.
But if you're scoring 60,
gotta trim it. Trim it. But hey, they're all paying the bills in the MOAC, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us while we're paying our bills, bringing you some Friday night Pigskin action. Fun week. Week 5 is always a good one. We're right at the midway point of the season, so we're starting to get a pretty good idea of who's hot, who's not, all that good stuff, Trav.
Lenardi's back next week. The Lenardi-Berardi time. Instead of best of the rest, it's Lenardi-Berardi time in week 6, because we really, honestly, there's some teams that could probably clinch Crawford could probably clinch a playoff spot with a win over Cary next
sure.
week. So we'll break all that down next week. But there's only two things I got to worry about. Number one,
Browick
beat Pitt. Number two, it's going to happen in Pittsburgh on Monday night. We'll talk more about that on the podcast, though.
That's right, baby. But for now, we got to go get a little bit of shut-eye. We got some volleyball coming up live and free for you in the morning. 2 different games for you guys, and then we'll be back better than ever on the podcast on Monday in prime time now, leading up to, that's right, my favorite rivalry in the NFL. We'll have Browns Steelers. Get some shut-eye. See you in the morning. So long, y'all.